والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. All praise due to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most gracious, the most merciful. Praise Him, seek His help and forgiveness. Peace and blessing of His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Welcome back to Deen Life courses. Inshallah, we had a long break after the pandemic. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, we don't have this again. And inshallah, completely get rid of COVID for, inshallah, a good time. Here, at least here in South Australia. We're doing good, alhamdulillah. Welcome back to the class. And inshallah, today we're supposed to talk about a beautiful surah from the Quran, Surah Alnour, full of ahkam, full of wisdom. But before we go further in that, I would like to speak more about, I would say, the preamble or the introductory to our classes of Tafseer, which is we talk about the Quran in general. Why are we here? Why people come to learn about the Quran? What is the significance of the Quran in our life? First of all, فضل كلام الله تعالى على سائر الكلام كفضل الله تعالى على خلقه. The importance of the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above any other literature, any other talk or words is the same like the importance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or the status of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above His creation. So as long as we glorify Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala above everyone else, we glorify His word above any other words, spoken or written. So the Quran is the biggest ni'mah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us. Every prophet, peace be upon them all, came down with miracles, mostly physical miracles. For instance, Musa alayhi salam came, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala aided him with many physical miracles. One of them was a stick that he turned into a snake, a real snake. And it was enough for his people to follow him after seeing those miracles. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was aided with also physical miracles and also with the Quran, which is the biggest miracle that any prophet can have. The Quran is not time-bound. It proved the message by the content of the message. It's meant to be for all times, for every age, for every audience. The Quran is an accessible book, that it was structured, designed in a way that is accessible to everyone. And like any book was structured or designed, they have, like the author has the audience in mind. So a primary school book would never be suitable for a university student, and vice versa. The Quran is a book that addresses everyone, and this is the beauty of the Quran. Anyone can read from it and learn from it. The Quran always has been the center of the Ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah tells us in the Quran, we have made the Quran easy for remembering. Many of us sometimes struggle when it comes to the Quran. If we new to Islam, if we learning the Quran for the first time, especially if the Arabic is not our native language, we struggle sometimes with learning about the Quran. And most of us, after a few attempts, they give up. They say, this is not my cup of tea, I can't do it anymore. I'm happy to listen to it rather than reading it. This is a mistake, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised us in the Quran by saying, indeed, we made the Quran easy to be remembered. Is there anyone who wishes to remember? Allah is questioning us. Where is the people who's going to put the sleeves up and put some hard work? Especially when every letter you read from the Quran, you get 10 good deeds. As the Prophet ﷺ explained that in a hadith. That every letter we read from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants us 10 good deeds. And he emphasized on the fact that per letter, not per word. He says, لا أقول ألف لام ميم حرف. I do not say ألف لام ميم is a letter, but ألف is a letter, لام is a letter, and ميم is a letter. The scholars of Tajweed are very particular about every sound of the Quran. And this is showcase the importance of the Quran and how it's pronounced for every letter. They wouldn't be particular about any letter of any spoken language or any spoken Arabic language. But this is not just the spoken Arabic. It is the Quran, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the spoken word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the scholar even discussed the validity of the prayer for someone who makes a mistake in recitation, especially in Fatiha, because Fatiha is one of Arkan al-Salah, and those who make mistakes in al-Fatiha, major mistakes can make the Salah invalid. And that's why it's important for us to put effort to learn the word of Allah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive our shortcomings. Sometimes when we learn, it's going to be difficult, but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised us, when you put effort, you will receive, you will write, the outcome. Let me mention to you some stories of people who had a spiritual connection with the Quran, to lift the spirit a little bit of how we have this special connection with the Quran. There was a companion of the Prophet ﷺ who was on a night duty in Medina, and he was reciting the Quran in his prayer. And he was praying. He heard some noises. So he was reciting the Quran at night time while he was in duty. Just to, this is how the Sahaba, spend his time. They either go to the Quran or go to the prayer. They were very eager to engage with that. They communicating with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through listening to His word, reading His word, or engaging in Salah. And they found their comfort in praying and their comfort in recitation of the Quran. So he heard some noises at that night. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ and told him about what happened. The Prophet ﷺ said to him, those noises came from angels who came down to listen to your recitation. And I always wonder what kind of recitation he recited that brought the angels down. SubhanAllah. Angels came down to listen to his recitation. How much devotion he had in his heart, and how much how many efforts he put in his recitation to read the Quran from his heart that brought the angels down to earth. Such an inspiring story to all of us, that every time we sit down with the Quran, it's not just because I want to finish this surah, I want to finish this Quran. Especially in Ramadan, we get to turn to the Quran, our attention turns most of the Quran, because everyone is reading the Quran. It's the month of the Quran. We hear this, Imams and Shaykh talks about it all the time, the Jum'ah at the beginning of Ramadan or before Ramadan, reminding us that we should read and finish reciting the Quran at least once in Ramadan. So we get in touch with the Quran. We're eager to read the Quran just because everyone is doing it. How many times we sat after Ramadan and just read the Quran, and I want to do khitmah. This time I will take my time and I won't rush it because I don't have a time limit to finish it in the month of Ramadan. So I'll take my time, I'll recite, I'll ponder over every verse of the Quran. And this is another standalone ibadah, when you ponder over the verses of the Quran, just to contemplate, just to think, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell you in this ayah, and have a personal connection with it, spiritual connection with this particular ayah. And that comes with, time. That comes when you not just read the Quran because you want to do the khitmah, but you read the Quran because you want to understand. You read the meaning, you read the tafseer, or attend the classes of tafseer. That's what we're doing tonight, inshallah. That in the next few episodes we'll be talking more about the context of the surah, the meaning of the ayat, and the history behind it, and the reason of revelation. We'll talk about from Islamic linguistic miracles of the Quran, the terminology of the Quran, and unpack this terminology, inshallah, in the next few episodes. So, finding that, it will comfort my heart to come to a class and just to learn more about the Quran, not just the way to recite. This is not a tajweed class, but it will be essential for all of us to also complement, learning about the tajweed, learning about the meaning, complement that with tajweed, complement that with memorization. And imagine if you know how to read it with perfect tajweed, if you memorize that surah as well that we're learning, and you also know everything about the surah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, a great Sahabi of Islam. He was one of the knowledgeable people about the Quran. He was asked once by the Prophet ﷺ to recite to him. And this is an honorable thing, that the Prophet ﷺ come to him and ask him to recite. And he complimented his recitation. And he also cried when he listened to his recitation. And also, this is for us to reflect upon. His recitation brought tears to the Prophet ﷺ, the one who received the Quran from Jibreel, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. how can I get to that level? This is maybe a life goal for all of us, to reach the level of when you recite the Quran, you read it in the same manner that Abdullah ibn Mas'ud recited to the Prophet ﷺ, that brought tears to his eyes. To recite in the same manner that the Sahabi of Rasulullah ﷺ brought the angels down to earth to listen to his recitation. So it is a big obligation on all of us to not just to read, but to read and ponder and practice in a way that we appreciate the blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because the Quran on its own is a blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, by the way, he was one of the most knowledgeable people about the Quran. He said, every time you hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu in the Quran, فَأَرْعِهَا سَمَعَكَ. Every time you hear Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe. And how many of you who believe in the Quran? Many times. Every time you hear it, you need to listen attentively. Why? Because there is goodness Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to do, or evil that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to avoid. Allah is talking directly to you, the believers, to us. And this is an honorable way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed His servants in the Quran, O you who believe. In such an honorable way. And we love to hear it from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when He addresses us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us all among the believers. Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu, he says, لو طهرت قلوبنا لما شبعت من كلام الله. If we purify our hearts properly, we'll never get enough of the word of Allah. This is someone who understood the significance and the importance of the Quran in his life. Uthman ibn Affan, a great Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the fourth Khalif. لو شبعت أو لو طهرت قلوبنا, if our hearts were purified, and I'm talking about purifying our hearts from many things. We've done a series about purification of the heart in the past. It's online, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, we can also watch it on the YouTube channel of Fixer. Where we spoke about how there's things that lead to the heart, the disease of the heart. So we talk about things that lead to the disease of the heart. How can we block these means? How can we purify our hearts in order to have a healthy heart? And we understood the meaning of يوم لا ينفع مال ولا بنون إلا من أتى الله بقلب سليم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, the day that no one, wealth or children will benefit them except those who come to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a sound heart. Sound heart is a very important part in our life. Without a sound heart, we'll be in trouble. Without a good intention, we'll be in trouble. Without a healthy spiritual heart, we'll be in trouble. Because the Prophet ﷺ mentioned in the hadith that there is a morsel of flesh in our body. If it's correct, if it's sound, the whole body will be sound. If it's corrupted, the whole body will be corrupted. So that's the importance of the heart in our life. This is the engine that drives us towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Another tabi'i, he came to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. He said to him, I read fast so I can finish Surah Al-Baqarah in one night. So I read it fast so I can finish it in one night. So Abdullah ibn Abbas told him, لأن أقرأ البقرة في ليلة أتدبرها وأرتلها أحب إلي من أن أقرأها كما تقرأ. He told him, or reminded him, there's no rush. You don't need to finish it in short time. If you read, contemplate, and take your time, beautify your recitation, beautify your voice while you're reciting, and make tadabbur. أَفَلَا تَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. Allah says that in the Quran, haven't they ponder over the verses of the Quran. We are commanded to ponder and take our time when it comes to recitation of the Quran. So he reminded him that this is not the way. You take your time, recite the surah, and ponder over every verse of it. And I will take my time. The Sahaba, they understood the importance of amal and ilm. They would read the Quran, they will take the time to memorize the surah, and they will take the time to implement all the teaching in the surah. So they will take longer time than us to read or memorize the surah. Not because they can't memorize in short time. They can, but they will take the time to unpack and implement all the teaching in the surah. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud again. Such a character. Whenever you talk about the Quran, you have to mention Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. a great scholar and a great knowledgeable Sahabi of the Quran. He once said that by Allah, Wallahi, there is no such a verse was revealed from the Quran except I knew when and where and why it was revealed. Every single ayah of the Quran, he knew when it was revealed, where it was revealed, and why. What is the reason behind the revelation? Once he was sitting with the Sahaba and the Prophet ﷺ at the beginning of Da'wah, and then the Prophet ﷺ said to the Sahaba, by Allah, Quraysh have never heard the Quran being directly read to them. So the Prophet ﷺ, as a messenger, as a prophet, he was concerned that maybe those people didn't accept Islam because they haven't heard the Quran. Maybe if they hear the Quran will change them. Maybe they will accept Islam. So he was keen to deliver the message through the recitation of the Quran as well to the people of Quraysh. So he asked the Sahaba, anyone can recite the Quran loud to them so they can listen to his recitation? So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud sprang up. He said, I will do it, Ya Rasulullah. Then the Sahaba replied, we fear for you. You are from a small family. You'll be an easy target. You have no big family to protect you when people start to attack you, because they knew some could have a bad reaction to it, and they might come and attack him. And indeed it happened. But he insisted. He said, I will do it inshallah, and Allah will protect me. So in the morning he went to the Kaaba while Quraysh were in their conference. And when he arrived at the Maqam of Ibrahim behind the Kaaba, he recited Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ar-Rahman علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان. He said, in the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, the compassionate. He taught the Quran. He created man. He taught him eloquent speech. Surah Al-Rahman. They looked at him attentively and they said, what on earth is this son of Abd, that was his nickname, son of Abd, is saying? They wondered and they realized that this is what the Prophet ﷺ is preaching. This is the Quran. So they came out because they didn't enjoy the recitation. No, because they have so much hatred to the Prophet ﷺ and his da'wah, and they said to him, woe to you, reciting what Muhammad is preaching closer to us, and they start beating him, and he was receiving all the beating on his own. His face was swollen and blood was running out of his face. He came back to the Sahaba and they said, we told you, you don't do it. You have a small family. So he responded to them. He said, I will do it again, if I can. I will never fear them. So this is Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu, very knowledgeable person, a person that brought tears to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam when he recited the Quran to him. And the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said about him that whoever wants to recite the Quran the way it was revealed, the same way that he received it from Jibreel alayhi salam, he should listen to the same style of recitation like Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. SubhanAllah. One day Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he was in a caravan, and Umar al-Khattab, he came across that caravan. So he was asking from a distance, it was dark, and he called up him, who are you, where are you coming from? He said, he was one of the people of the caravan. He said, we're coming from this place, going to this place. Okay? Then one of the Sahaba with Umar said, there is a learned man among them. He said that to Umar. So Umar called up on them again, without knowing it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. He said, which verse of the Quran is the greatest? While they're passing in the dark night, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud responded and answered, Allahu la ilaha illa huwa al-hayyul qayyum, la ta'khudhuhu sinatun wa la nawm. Allah, none has the right to worship but He, the living, the self-subsistent. Sleep doesn't overtake Him, nor does slumber. Ayatul Kursi. And then Umar told one of the Sahaba to ask them which verse of the Quran has the most justice. So Abdullah responded. Without Umar and his companion know who was the one who was responding, because it's from a distance. So he called out from a distance, and he said, verily Allah commands justice and give help to the kith and kin. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْمُرُ بِالْعَدْلِ وَالْإِحْسَانِ وَإِيتَاءِ ذِي الْقُرْبَى. And then he asked him another question: which verse of the Quran is most encompassing? Then the man replied, and whoever does an atom's weight of good shall see it, and whoever does an atom weight of evil shall see it. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. And then he asked him again another question: which verse is most frightening? It will not be, he will respond, it will not be accordance with your desires, nor those of the people of the scriptures. لَيْسَ بِأَمَانِيِّكُمْ وَلَا أَمَانِيِّ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ مَنْ يَعْمَلْ سُوءًا يُجْزَ بِهِ. It is not in accordance with your desires, nor of the people of the scriptures. Whoever works evil will have the recompense therefore, and he will not find any protector or helper beside Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then they ask another question: which verse gives the most hope? Then he said, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. Say, O my slaves who have transgressed against themselves, despair not of the mercy of Allah. Verily, Allah forgives all sins. Truly, He is oft forgiving, most merciful. Umar asked the companions to call out if Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was among them. He realized that these answers would come from an illogical person, and he had doubts that it was Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So, and they replied, yes, he was the person who was responding. By Allah, he is indeed. Ibn Mas'ud lived until the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan, when he also fell ill after that, and he passed away just after the Khilafah of Uthman ibn Affan radiallahu anhu. A great scholar of Quran radiallahu anhu, عن الصحابة أجمعين. Also, to ponder over the Quran, and we need to, how we can, some advice tonight, how we can connect with the Quran spiritually. We need to learn from the Sahaba. We need to learn about how they actually learn from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It is also recommended for us when we read the Quran, we not just to read with to read, not just to memorize, not just to understand, but also ponder and also beautify our recitation with a beautiful voice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا دَاوُودَ مِنَّا فَضْلًا يَا جِبَالُ أَوِّبِي مَعَهُ وَالطَّيْرَ وَأَلَنَّا لَهُ الْحَدِيدِ. These are the quality of Dawood alayhi salam. Dawood, when he recited, the jibal or the mountain would listen to him and recite and chant with him. Birds would also listen and chant with him. The Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, مَا أَذِنَ اللَّهُ لِشَيْءٍ مَا أَذِنَ نَبِيٍّ يَتَغَنَّى بِالْقُرْآنِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given permission to the Prophet to beautify his voice when it comes to recitation. So this is also encouragement to all of us to recite the Quran. Try our best to recite the Quran with a beautiful voice. Beautiful recitation is a gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Not all of us are gifted with a beautiful voice or beautiful recitation, but we try our best to follow the ahkam and read the Quran with a beautiful recitation. Imam al-Jadri, after 40 years of marriage, the father of Imam al-Jadri didn't have kids. And then he went for Hajj, had a lot of Zamzam water and prayed for a child who would be a great scholar. 9 months later, Imam al-Jadri was born. And he was someone who was separated from his kids, stopped from doing Hajj, went through incredible persecution, and throughout all, he was writing and teaching text about the Quran. He had an immeasurable connection and devotion to the Quran. He even taught his kidnappers. So he was kidnapped, and subhanAllah, he was teaching his kidnappers the Quran and how they recite the Quran. So he teach his kidnappers the Quran so much so that they delayed his release in order to get the ijazah. So in order for him to leave, they put a condition. we're not going to let you go until you give us the ijazah. And we're talking about kidnappers back in that time, subhanAllah, different level. Even kidnappers are knowledgeable, probably knowledgeable than us. Subhanallah. The Prophet ﷺ says in the hadith, the best one of you is the one who learn the Quran, read the Quran and teach it. So we are encouraged to learn the Quran and we're encouraged to teach at the same time. So someone would ask, do I need to have ijazah? Do I need to finish, complete and memorize the whole Quran? No, you don't have to. But as long as you know surah by surah with the tajweed, with the correct tajweed and correct ahkam, you can teach that surah to your siblings, to your children, to your parents, to your grandparents, to your friends. And this is following the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Convey the message from me, even if it's just one ayah. So why we need to focus on the Quran? The Quran has always been the center of the ummah. The Quran cuts khilaf, differences. إن تنازعتم في شيء فردوه إلى الله والرسول. When we have dispute, we return it to the Quran and the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when some of us have a Quran teacher, you care about their knowledge of recitation, not about their issues or differences, and where they come from, or what nationality. The Quran is the strong word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that binds us all together, hold us all together. So how can we maintain a good connection with the Quran? This is the question for tonight. How can we maintain that connectivity with the Quran in the age of social media, Facebook and Instagram? Reciting the Quran makes you a person of Allah. So we should dig deep in all the hadith and narration, or most of them, that encourage us to read and ponder the Quran. One of the hadith, the Prophet says, narration of Anas ibn Malik رضي الله عنه, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الله تعالى أهلين من الناس قالوا يا رسول الله من هم؟ قال هم أهل القرآن أهل الله وخاصته. The Prophet ﷺ says there is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a special type of people, has special people. And the Sahaba ask, who are they, Ya Rasulullah? The Prophet ﷺ says, the people of the Quran. They are the people of Allah and the special one. This deen doesn't associate you with who you are, your family background. It associates people more with knowledge, actions and good deeds. إن الله لا ينظر إلى صوركم ولا إلى أموالكم ولكن ينظر إلى قلوبكم وأعمالكم. Allah does not look at your figures, the way you look, and how much wealth do you have, but He looks at your hearts and at your actions. And this is again put the hearts as the highest importance in our life. If our hearts is purified, his heart's clear, sound, we will be safe. The rest of our good deeds are accepted because of that. And we know the story of the Sahaba that who came on three days in a row. The Prophet was sitting with the Sahaba, and he told the Sahaba, a person will come now, he is from the people of paradise. A person came holding his shoes under his armpit, his feet was dripping water. One of the Sahaba. He was not one of the famous big ones. Then he came and sat next to the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba. The next day, the Prophet ﷺ said the same thing, and the same man came in. Third day, same thing, and the same man came in. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, very smart Sahabi. This is how Sahaba were eager to learn and eager to do the right thing all the time. So Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he came to him and says, I have nowhere to stay. Can I stay with you for 3 nights? He said, you're welcome. So he joined him for 3 nights to find out, to see what this person does extra. So he earned a guaranteed spot in paradise. What did you do extra? Maybe he prayed all night, every night. Maybe he woke in the middle of the night, go help, other people, orphans, widows, poor and needy, cook for them, or do something for them. Things that would come to our mind that can, earn him a good spot in paradise. Or fast every day. But he saw him that he sleep and pray. He fast and break his fast. Whatever he does, he was like the rest of the community, the rest of the Sahaba. Nothing particular, nothing special. That's what he thought. Then he went to him and asked him directly, I came here to observe your ibadah, to see and learn from you. However, I didn't see anything or different. What did you do to earn the guaranteed spot in paradise? He told him, whatever I could think of was, every time I go to sleep, I purify my heart from any hatred, jealousy, ill feelings towards any Muslim. Every single night, before you go to sleep, he purified, he let it go. Any feeling of anger, feeling of jealousy, feeling of anger or sadness towards anyone, he would let it go and purify his heart. A good reminder to all of us. How many times we go to bed and just everything flashback for the whole day. This person at work, he sat next to me and didn't say good morning this morning. Or he ignored me, or he didn't do the things I asked him to do, or he disrespected me. And I keep, reminding myself about these issues every day. And you could remember things from, primary school. Things go back on time, Still remember, hold tight to these memories. But this Sahabi understood there's no need, and there's no point of holding on to these feelings. And it's the best is to forgive and forget. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلْيَعْفُوا وَلْيَصْفَحُوا أَلَا يُحِبُّونَ أَن يَغْفِرَ اللَّهُ لَهُمْ. Straight command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us to forgive and forget. Why? Because Allah is the forgiver. When we do that, Allah forgives us. أَلَا تُحِبُّونَ. Don't you love that Allah forgive you in return? And this alone earned this person a guaranteed spot in paradise. So we need to start building up our habits. We need to commit ourselves to reading and reciting the Quran. We could start with five verses a day, and then we grow up from there. 5 verses to recite with tajweed, 5 verses to memorize, 5 verses to ponder over every day, and then we increase, the limit every day. Whatever you can do, let not a day go by without reciting the Quran, which is a very important part. Prophet ﷺ warned us from going along without reciting the Quran, especially in our homes. The home with not recited the Quran in it is like empty house, empty of any blessing, goodness. Alright? Some of us maybe found it difficult to recite. Maybe they found it challenging. We remember the hadith of Rasulullah narrated by Aisha radiallahu anha. Whoever read the Quran smoothly, perfectly, his level will be with the honourable angels of Allah. And this part here is coming, is the glad tidings to all of us who struggle with read the Quran. Whoever read the Quran, whoever read the Quran and stumble over the verses of the Quran, like many of us find it hard to read, especially at the beginning, find it hard to learn. Remember this hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Prophet said, فَلَهُ أَجْرًا. He get or she get double the reward. Every time you struggle. And remember the reward, 10 good deeds per letter. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so generous and so kind. Multiply to whomever He wishes. He can grant us up to 700 per letter. Imagine how many letters you could read in 1 minute. Bismillah, Bismillah, 6 letters. That's 60 good deeds. How many good deeds we can read per minute? And it's up to you. They are good deeds, easy to grab. Why would you waste the chance? Why would you waste the opportunity? So some tips to how to connect with the Quran. We need to love the Quran and connect spiritually with it. If we don't love it, we cannot connect spiritually with it. If you cannot commit yourself to 5 ayahs a day or 2 ayahs a day, don't claim that you love the Quran, because that's for sure shows that you don't care. If you love your family, then even if you are in another city or country, you'll always be in contact with them. Over Facebook or Instagram, you'll be calling them, FaceTime, things like that, every day. You'll be calling them every day. and every other day. But you will be in contact through phone, WhatsApp, Facebook, whatever. But if you love someone, you are in touch with. So if you love the Quran, you need to keep in touch with it. Al-Quran يرفع صاحبه. Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu says, أما إن نبيكم قد قال إن الله يرفع بهذا الكتاب أقواما ويضع به آخرين. The more we get in touch with the Quran, the more we read the Quran, the more we memorize the Quran, the more our status in the community will rise. This is what the Prophet ﷺ says. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raised people's status by the Quran in this dunya. Not just in Akhirah, in this dunya. And in Akhirah as well, on the Day of Judgment. Malaika will come, the angels will come to the reciter of the Quran. The Malaika will say to him or her to recite, اقرأ وارتقي ورتل. Recite, elevate your status. فمنزلتك عند آخر آية تقرأها. Your status, that's in paradise, your level in paradise, will finish, will stop by the last ayah you recite. So someone who recites 10 ayahs will not be at the same level as someone who recites 100. It's a competition in goodness. And we will not be equal on the Day of Judgment. Those with more good deeds will be in higher places. Those with less bad deeds will be in lower places. If not, hellfire. وَلَيَّذُ بِاللَّهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us all. So, what it means by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevate the status of people with the Quran. So when people come to the Quran, read the Quran and implement the teaching of the Quran, Allah elevate their status. And when people ignore the Quran and turn away from the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, meaning that they ignore the Quran and ignore the teaching of the Quran, not just the recitation but also the teaching and the implementation of the commandments of Allah that came in the Quran. So ignoring that will get them in big trouble and lower their status in dunya and also in akhirah. So nowadays people are so unfamiliar with the idea of memorizing the Holy Quran. When you tell people, of other faith that, you have memorized the Quran, they look at you and they think, it's a strange thing. Have you ever talked to someone who's non-Muslim telling them that, this book, a lot of people of our community or our faith memorize it, letter by letter, sound by sound? They'll be amazed. Have you had that reaction before? If you talk to a non-Muslim, telling them that, a book of 50 plus, or 500 plus pages, or 600 pages, memorized by a person. Could be a young child. Could be a person who never spoke Arabic before. He doesn't know how to he doesn't know the language. But he memorized the Quran, which is in a spoken Arabic language. You could pick a person from any country in the world. Malaysia, Indonesia, Germany, Australia, Egypt, any country, Pakistan, India, any country, you'll find a hafiz, someone who memorizes the Quran off by heart. And this is an honorable thing, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised to preserve this Quran. Allah says in Surah Dukhan, إِنَّا نَحْنُ نَزَّلْنَا الذِّكْرَ وَإِنَّا لَهُ لَحَافِظُونَ. Verily we have sent down the remembrance, referring to the Quran. And for us, we will protect it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speak about Himself. We will preserve it. Allah will preserve it. And to think just you are one of the vessels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserved the Quran in. It's an honorable thing, just to think about it. Even if it's just one surah, that you are one of the vessels that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, utilize you to memorize the Quran and to preserve the Quran. Such an honorable thing. Quran is not just going to help us in this dunya by granting us, reading the word of Allah. Allah will be happy with us and bless our life because we recite His word and focus on His Quran. But also, the Quran will come on the Day of Judgment to help us, like your best lawyer, your best friend. And I want you to think about this. The day that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that on that day, you wouldn't think about anyone but yourself. Allah says, يَوْمَ يَفِرُّ الْمَرْءُ مِنْ أَخِيهِ وَأُمِّهِ وَأَبِيهِ وَصَاحِبَتِهِ وَبَنِيهِ لِكُلِّ امْرِئٍ مِّنْهُمْ يَوْمَئِذٍ شَأْنٌ يُغْنِيهِ. The day that everyone will be running away from his own siblings, own brother or sister, and his wife and his children, his mom and his dad. Imagine your beloved mother, or your beloved children, or your beloved father, or your siblings, that on the day of judgment they will come and ask for help. One good deed, you will never be able to give them. You won't be able to help them. You say, nafsi, nafsi, only myself. I don't care about anyone else. Alright? But at that day, you might need help from someone else. You will be going to other people and ask, you're going to your dad, ask for help. You say, nafsi, nafsi. You're going to your mom, you say, myself. Your wife, your husband, your children. Everyone will say, nafsi, nafsi. You could be desperate for any help. But if you read the Quran in your dunya, if you practice the Quran, if you implement the teaching of the Quran on a daily basis, the Quran will come and intercede for you. The Quran will come and make dua, make intercession for you. He will say, Ya Allah, forgive this person, he used to upset me. The Prophet says in the hadith narrated by Abi Umama al-Bahili, قال سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول اقرأ القرآن فإنه يأتي يوم القيامة شفيعا لأصحابه. صحيح Muslim. Prophet said, read the Quran, for it will come on the day of judgment as an intercessor. Intercede for you. You can hire the best lawyer in the world. You know how much expensive these days. Right? They're very expensive lawyers. But on the day of judgment, it will be free for you. Your Quran will come and intercede for you. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgiveness for you. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet and said, قلت يا رسول الله أوصني قال عليك بتقوى الله فإنه رأس الأمر كله قلت يا رسول الله زدني قال عليك بتلاوة القرآن فإنه نور لك في الأرض وذخر لك في السماء. رواه ابن حبان. Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu came to the Prophet for advice. Like many of the Sahaba, they always ask advice from Rasulullah. He said, Ya Rasulullah, advise me. أوصني. Prophet reminded him to have taqwa of Allah, because this is the most important part. Then Abu Dharr, he said, Awsani, or Zidni, or Prophet ﷺ, advise me more. The Prophet ﷺ responds, he says, Alayka bitilawat al-Quran. Read the Quran, recite the Quran. It is light for you on this earth and great reward for you in heaven. This is the advice of Rasulullah ﷺ to Abu Dharr radiallahu anhu. The more we read the Quran, the more blessing we'll have in our life. The more nur we'll have in our life. And subhanAllah, this term, or this semester, we're learning about Surah Alnour. Indeed, the whole Quran is a nur. The whole Quran is a light that guides us towards the right. إن هذا القرآن يهدي للتي هي أقوم. This Quran guides to what is the best. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks about the Quran. ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. This is the book, there is no doubt in it. هدى للمتقين. It's guidance to all those who are muttaqeen, those who have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what it means to desert the Quran? What is the sign of someone who deserts the Quran? Every time you take out the Mus'haf to read, and it's dusty, that's a good sign, or a bad sign, I would say, that we deserted the Quran. When we read the Quran only in Ramadan, that's a sign of us deserting the Quran. Ramadan, yes, it's the month of the Quran. Allah sent down the Quran in the month of Ramadan. And the wisdom behind Ramadan is to focus on the Quran, rather than the wisdom of fasting is to attain taqwa Allah Azza wa Jal. So yes, it is recommended, it is important to focus on the Quran in the month of Ramadan, but it doesn't mean that we neglect the Quran for the rest of the year. The Sahaba focus more on the Quran in the month of Ramadan, however, they never neglect the Quran. The Tabi'in the same. They would continue with the Quran. They continue with many khatamat. They would finish one after another, one after another. They continue. They never stopped. They increase the effort of memorizing and reading and pondering of the Quran in the month of Ramadan. Like some of them, they would leave any knowledge they study or any knowledge they teach. Like I'm talking about Islamic knowledge, hadith, other type of knowledge, fiqh, and they focus on the Quran in the month of Ramadan to show respect, because this is the month of Ramadan, and the month of the Quran. However, after Ramadan, they will never neglect the Quran. Another sign that many of us have that shows that we neglect the Quran or desert the Quran, when we only touch the Quran or read the Quran when we are in bad need to something, when we in trouble, when we need Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help. So we only turn to Him when we are in trouble. And this is a bad sign. It's a good sign that we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and rely upon Him, but also we should rely and turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every day. And read the Quran every day, not for the sake of we need something. Imagine someone asks you for help after maybe 10 years he never called you, or one of your old friends, old mates, and after 10 years he, Assalamu alaikum, how are you? A long time no see, and then can I ask you for a favor? What would you do? Most of us would help because, alhamdulillah, we have a good heart. We have a sound heart. We would help. And it doesn't mean that person is bad. It means he could be busy as well. And we are encouraged to have good assumption of our brothers and sisters in Islam. To have good assumptions, not bad ones. To think that they didn't contact us because they were busy. They were, having, they were sick, or they had study, or busy with business, or other things. So we'll make excuse for them all the time. So when we touch the Quran, only when we need something, and when someone dies, or when we need, when we have need of our own. Like sometimes when someone dies, we return the Quran, read the Quran in the house, we play the Quran in loudspeakers because someone died. But it would be beneficial for that person, or for the person who died, to read the Quran on a daily basis, not just after his death. We shouldn't be only people who remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when they need something. At the mosque, there are often many people, which is older people, at Fajr time. But Fajr is for all Muslims, not just for oldies who go to the masjid at Fajr time. So Fajr prayer is for all Muslims. Young people should go for Fajr prayer. It's not just for retiree. So Fajr is for everyone. When there is 5-6 lines at Fajr time of younger people, then it means that is, we know it's the exam time, right? So it's uni exam or high school exams. They're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for tawfiq during the exams. And you see that, alhamdulillah, in Medina, from Masr هناك, always the mosque of Medina was always busy, alhamdulillah, but during exam time, you could not find a spot. You have to go an hour and a half before prayer time to find a spot so you can pray. Subhanallah. It's human nature. They return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is a good thing. But we should turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all times. So, the lesson here to be learned is that we cannot be seasonal slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We don't just worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for a certain amount of time or for a special time. I understand the time is running and we should finish by now. Inshallah, next week we'll continue more about the wisdom behind the Quran, and then if we have time we'll continue, or we'll start talking about Surah Alnour. أقول ما تسمعون أستغفر الله لي ولكم واستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما. اللهم اغفر للمسلمين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات إنك يا مولانا سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات ورافع الدرجات. اللهم ارفع مقتك وغضبك عنا. اللهم لا تسلط علينا بذنوبنا من لا يخافك فينا ولا يرحمنا. آخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. وجزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم.